Okay, you ready? So, plot twist. You are the narcissist. You are the troublemaker. You are the bad friend. You are the jealous partner. You are the envious person of someone else's success. You are the toxicity in the relationship, in the friendship, in the business partnership. You are the gossiper. You are the messy one. You are the one that needs to handle up on your trauma, your baggage, all of your past issues. It's you. It's actually been you the entire time. Now, I know how jarring that can be to receive, to hear, to accept, but I want to share some very poignant words that I hope don't fall on deaf ears. Whatever you can perceive in someone else, these characteristics, these tendencies already exist within you. We're always so keen at being able to notice someone else's flaws or shortcomings. However, when it's time for us to look in the mirror and recognize our own, many of us have a really hard time being self-aware and recognizing what it is within ourselves that we need to change. It's much easier to project those things onto other people and point out where they're going wrong. Let's talk about it. My name is FallonFavors. Thank you for joining me for another episode. As noted, it is always so much easier to point out everybody else's flaws. When you have done a certain amount of work on yourself, when you have gone on the journey of self-discovery, let's say you're starting to take a deep dive into your own childhood experiences, you're reading more, you're starting to connect the dots as to why you may have developed certain ways or tendencies, or you start seeing the pathology and psychology behind how certain patterns start within yourself and other people, and everything starts to click like, wow, there's so much power in understanding these dynamics, because it truly is the pathway to healing, to be able to label a lot of the experiences that many of us have had, especially or more specifically on the end of it being more like negative experiences that have affected us and had a bearing on how we interface with each other in relationships, friendships, what have you. And what tends to happen, and I know this to be true because it has happened to me, what tends to happen is you get so excited because now it's almost like unlocking the holy grail. You've unlocked and uncovered this very secret information of, again, self-awareness, self-discovery, and learning about people and patterns again and all of that. You get a little arrogant. You get a little spiritually cocky, okay? There are some of us that are on our spiritual dark night of the soul journey. We've gone through that. For those of my, astrology buffs, you may have gone through your Saturn return. You've been through some things. You've actually experienced some levels of life. You may have entered into a relationship, and now you have relationship experience. Maybe you've had a business that you've been able to create from the ground up, and you've been able to see its success over time. And it's been proven that you can actually handle your business and actually turn a profit. There are certain goals and metrics that we have to reach certain levels of success. And sometimes once we get there, we develop a certain level of arrogance. And I feel in the realm of spirituality and just learning yourself, you very well may find yourself in that situation as well, where you start to feel like, I know everything, or I have the license to be able to look at somebody else and tell them what they need to do to get their lives together. Now, there are certain instances and situations where people are very gifted and highly attuned to what's going on around them and being able to pick up on energies. You can call these people intuitives or empaths. You may even be able to call these people just observers, and people that are actually really perceptive enough to see what's going on around them and have a way to be able to gauge what somebody really needs to do to turn their lives around, or they see where the problems could be stemming from, and that actually may be a gift. So it's so hard to see things in a way of it being negative when there's so much positive that can come from it, but too much is given, much is required, or much is tested. So you have to be very careful with how you maneuver with this power, so to speak. So if you have the ability to see certain things in certain people in ways that they can improve based on your own experiences, based on that being just a gift that was given to you by our creator, whatever the way or however it has come to you, you have to be be very careful with that, and you have to make sure that you're not allowing that to go to your head, because the truth of the matter is so many of us are pure exemplifications of what it is that we're noticing in someone else. I'll give you an example. There are, I can't count, I mean, innumerous, okay, amounts of individuals that are on the train of, this person is jealous of me, this person is hating on me, this person is not happy for my success, this person wants what I have, or this person does not support me because they just hating on me. Or I think everyone that I know around me, including myself, has at one point in time, you know, admittedly found someone that they may have felt may have been giving them that energy. And I'm not saying, that's why, of course, we all, you know, hopefully I'm talking to people that are, you know, we're working on our intelligence and we're working on making sure that we're, you know, on the same page. Of course, I am not speaking in absolutes, right? There are situations where people are hating on you and you do need to be cautious of that. There are situations where people want what you have, and so all of these different scenarios do exist. However, I feel that more often than not, a lot of the times we may be jumping the gun in labeling somebody for having that energy with us, and not really recognizing that we probably have that energy that exists somewhere within us for us to even be able to recognize it. How would you even know that somebody was jealous of you or giving you energy that suggested they wanted what you had, or they weren't happy for you, or they wanted, you know, they were praying for your downfall or for your demise? How would you even understand and be able to connect to the emotions that would cause someone to behave in that manner if you don't have anything to reference from your own personal experience? Even if you had enough knowledge and education through reading or looking at other people's situations to recognize if somebody else was giving off that energy, it probably wouldn't be your default as to why somebody is acting a particular way. You would have no point of reference for that. You may have some knowledge of it, but it's not going to be the first line of defense in trying to figure out why somebody might be treating you a certain way, or why you might be receiving certain energy from somebody. When we are saying, oh, that person is jealous of me, or that person is hating on me, you've hated on somebody. You've been jealous of somebody. These are the nasty, dirty, murky, messy emotions that many of us do not want to admit that we have currently or have had. We don't. And I can understand why. They're not pleasant emotions to acknowledge that we have, but we all cut and bleed the same. We are all one of God's children, the Creator's children, offspring, however you want to look at it, whatever it is that you believe, but we are all the same. We are all fundamentally the same and have the same capacity. If somebody that you have seen has the capacity to do any said thing, that same capacity exists within you, and there's a very strong chance that you have exhibited those same behaviors, especially if this is something that you can call out in somebody else. And the reason why it's important to have this conversation and recognizing in yourself what you're also pointing out in somebody else is self-awareness is truly the key to happiness, freedom, anything that you want in this world. If you're talking about manifesting, if you're talking about bringing into reality the things that you truly desire, no matter what that is, there is a certain amount of ingredients or spice from self-awareness that must be added to the recipe in order for it to turn out right. I don't really see it manifesting in the way that you want to, especially if this is going to be things that last you and the things that are going to sustain without that self-awareness being intact. And if you are not really aware of your shortcomings, you know, and I know y'all know people like that. You know, people that are so overly consumed with what everybody else needs to be doing, what everybody else needs to do to fix their life. Somebody's always talking about somebody and talking about how they need to get their lives together and why they're not perfect and why, and you know, and where they went wrong. And it's such a waste of energy and such a waste of time. More specifically in regards of, you know, that time can be spent on doctoring yourself. It's the age-old thing, right? Again, if you're on the airplane and they're talking about the mask dropping down because of lack of oxygen in the cabin, they always instruct everyone to put your own mask on first. Put your mask on, Okay, make sure that you're breathing, make sure that you're functional, and then once you are secure, you're safe, you're healthy, you can move about the cabin and help everyone else and notice, okay, this person may be having a little head trauma. Maybe this person needs that oxygen on them too. Maybe this person needs a drink of water, this person, whatever, right? You can see everybody's need, but not before you're able to recognize the needs within yourself. Focusing too hard on somebody else and where they need to improve is a distraction away from the work that you need to do. Another one that I always hear too, this is really, really prevalent when it comes to women dealing with men in relationships. You know, it's a lot of, I'm trying to help him. He needs my help. He needs to do this and he needs to do that. You know, I'm just burdened with the fact that I had to take care of him the way that I do, and I'm just so sensitive and so nurturing, and you know, I have all of this love to give and he's just not able to receive it, or he's not. Instead of just maybe a consideration can be made that I'm overextending and giving more than I should because of insecurities that may be existing deep down within me that I'm not ready to really acknowledge or accept. Maybe there are some self-esteem issues that I need to tackle to figure out why I would be pouring into an empty cup and pouring into somebody that has not been able to pour into me the same way. There are always two sides to everything. And again, going back to that self-awareness piece, if we are not cognizant of what we are feeling, what we are experiencing, who we are, where we come from, our own pathology, we will time and time again see the issue in everybody else. And this delays our healing in ways that you couldn't even imagine. You are literally doing a hard reset on your spiritual journey every single time you're focusing on somebody else's journey and what they need to fix, opposed to worrying about your own and what you need to repair. Narcissism is another big one. We'll do a separate episode on narcissism specifically, especially because it's such a hot topic and trigger word in today's conversation. But even with the term narcissist, or with the ideas around narcissism, a lot of the times we're throwing those words out and those words aren't really fitting. I'll admit as well, I've used those in the wrong way. As I tell you guys all the time, look these words up. Truly investigate and do your research before you just start throwing out things that you don't really even have the context behind. When I looked up narcissist and narcissism, there's only a very small percentage of the population that would fall under that category. And people do have to be clinically diagnosed. We're also trying to clinically diagnose people with narcissism without having the justifiable cause or the information or the license, figuratively or literally, to do that. And most narcissists are, of course, are so fully consumed with themselves. They are devoid really of emotion, of empathy. And I think that sometimes, especially in relationships, we sometimes connect that to narcissism when there could be some other attachment style issues that are probably more of the cause than would be narcissism. However, something that I find really interesting, and I've researched this as well, there can be levels of narcissism that exist in the person that's trying to label someone else with the narcissism. Meaning, if you are always trying to save somebody, because narcissists usually pick victims that are almost like weak little lambs, people that are have very low self-esteem, very low belief in themselves, and they allow themselves to be mentally, verbally, and emotionally abused, and sometimes in very severe dramatic cases they are physically abused as well. But the person that's labeling them as a narcissist may also be considered a narcissist in the same way, because they assume that they are so grand, that they are such a good, gentle, soft, caring, loving, God-like person, that they encompass the capacity to heal this person with all of those characteristics and attributes. opposed to recognizing that this person is in deep need of intervention or assistance or help, and they need something professional to help get them over the hump. They're not going to believe within themselves they have that to within them to be able to face that kind of narcissism or those kinds of issues. So again, one may be able to argue that the person that's saying you're a narcissist, no, you really could be that narcissist. And it makes sense to me for sure, because I am definitely a believer that we are all mirror reflections of each other. When you see something in somebody else and you're holding up that mirror to show them what it is that you see, you might as well flip that same mirror around, because you seeing it in them means that it exists within you as well. So if that person is a narcissist, what would that make you? Just a poor little victim? Oh, woe is me? No, it would seem that way. And it's more convenient to believe that you are the good Samaritan. But there's definitely some narcissism in thinking that you can change somebody that doesn't want to be changed. So this is really, again, important to understand overall, because as we are going on our journeys of self-discovery and self-healing, which is the main basis of this channel for us to go on this journey together towards being our best selves, we cannot skip steps and skip over the obvious. And the obvious is that a lot of us are spending a lot more time focusing on other people than focusing on ourselves. So solutions would include journaling. You guys know I'm a major proponent of getting things out on paper. I've also noted in other videos before that I use the journal app that comes automatically embedded into your iPhone. If you've done all of your updates, there is a journal app that you can literally type your life away. There may even be some voice memo capacity to attach in some of those journal entries. Or if you're just old school like me as well, get it on paper, get out what you feel. These things will assist you in understanding yourself a little bit more. Really being able to know yourself, so no one can tell you about yourself. So if somebody does bring something to you that you can use as an improvement, this is not any new news to your ears, and you probably won't be so defensive with getting this information either, because you know this about yourself. When you have issues that you have yet to really face and somebody calls you out on it, it is going to be very, very upsetting. It could be very, very rattling, jarring, upsetting to you. And if you're caught off guard, you know, it could kind of derail you depending on what kind of state of mind you're in. So this allows you to be able to know yourself in a way where that doesn't happen to you. One major tip and key that I will give you guys, this came across my Instagram as well. If I can find the video, I will link it in the description box below so you guys can see where this came from. But urge that if you have the courage, ask some people that love you. Make sure these are people that really love you and genuinely care about you, or at least have some type of true understanding of who you are, have spent some kind of substantial time with you to be able to give you an honest but gentle answer. But ask these people, where do I need to improve? What things about me are not as favorable as maybe one would like? Where are some areas that I can improve on? What are some negative traits about my personality or character that could use a little work? Where are some areas in my life that I am totally missing the mark and I need to have intervention immediately? How can I be a better friend? How can I be a better partner? What areas in me that you see are very toxic and need, again, direct, immediate fixing and intervention? Many of us, if you be real, are not going to be bold enough to do that because you don't know what you're going to hear. It's almost like going to the doctor and not wanting to hear the diagnosis because you don't want to hear the truth. But I'm telling you, if you have the courage, that is a really great way to kind of see where you stand, especially if you're one of these type of people who always have something to say about somebody else. You always feel like it's everybody else in every scenario or issue that you come across, and it's never you. You may want to pick up the phone, okay? Call Tiffany and them, call your peoples and see where you stand, because again, there is so much power in knowing who you are. There is so much power in recognizing where you can do better, because once you know, you can start inching towards making that change. And once you start making those changes, you're also introducing to God and the universe a new way of being. And that only is going to result in positive changes, and those changes will start to manifest in the material world as well. So as you are trying to inch closer to your dream job, your dream relationship, you're trying to get closer to the goals that really matter to you, you're going to be able to bring those into reality so much easier by recognizing where you could do a little bit better and how you can show up better to the world, and how you can also instill more focus on those things and cutting out the distractions and the noise of everybody else's drama, and really bringing through your manifestations a lot faster, just, again, by focusing on yourself. So take some of these jewels, take some of these keys, and see how far you can go with that. You are going to be so much happier giving that energy that you would give to someone else, and where they can improve on the negative scale and on the negative scope, and flipping it and giving yourself that positive reinforcement to realize your dreams and be your best self. That is the end of the video and episode for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Please drop in the comments and let me know if this resonated with you. Can you be bold enough to admit that you may be one of the messy individuals that you try to claim everybody else is? Is it you that truly is the narcissist? Or maybe not so severe, but maybe some of those tendencies you tend to actually carry within you. And that's why it's so easy for you to be able to point those out in the people that you have around you, or that you may be in relationship with. This is so crucial and critical, guys. I hope that this really opens you up to some new ways of thinking about things that hopefully lead to you making some really integral changes in your life for the better. But make sure to like, subscribe, and share. As always, I love you guys so much. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subbies, you guys. So definitely make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe, ring the notification bell. Make sure you're tapped in every time I drop. And I will see you guys next week. Peace.